Hello everyone and welcome to a new video. Today we are going to paint the first one of the company heroes for my Black Templar army. So of course this is going to be a Black Templar. This is the model as it came in the box. It's just that I applied a different shoulder pad that came in the Black Templars upgrade spruce. And I wanted to do a small comparison because of course we had another Space Marine with heavy bolter. This one is the one from the Leviathan box from the Starting Veterans. We can see that the bases are different, and if we look them by the app, we can clearly see that this one looks more chunkier. It looks like more like a heavy soldier, let's say. I mean, the weapon it's basically exactly the same. It's just that this one has like this extra part in the front. You can remove this one and it won't happen anything. It will look exactly like this one. It's just that it's like an extra attachment. And of course this one has like extra symbols. The helmet looks more interesting. We have the sculpted shoulder pad, but aside from that we can see that it's almost like the same pattern, like the same power backpack in the back, with the extra ammunition here. And when we look them by the side, yes, this one has like a pistol and such. This one is a little bit more armored. But I like these small details, like for example here it's like this extended blade here in the covering part of the face. It looks quite interesting. It looks nice. I mean, when you compare them, this one looks chunkier, and I like that a lot, to be honest, because like this one has like a little bit more of personality. It looks like a proper heavy soldier. And I want to also compare it with Heavy Intercessor with the same weapon. I feel a little bit bad of showing this one unpainted. One day I will paint it in the channel for sure, so don't worry about that. My friend, you will be painted. And we can see that this one doesn't look that small compared with Gravis armor. He looks quite chunky, and I really like that. It looks quite interesting one. I said that for me this one was the least interesting in the company heroes, but I have to admit that after assembling the miniature I'm like super happy, especially when I compare it with this one. I think that it looks quite interesting. I'm super in love with the miniature, and I like a lot what I see here. So I'm going to start working in the miniature, and of course, first of all, like always, this is going to be a Black Templar. So I will prime the miniature with Chaos Black from Citadel, and after that I will apply some technical paint in the base. I will go for Technical Azurite Debris because it's the one that I use for my Black Templars, and because of consistency I like all of them to have that one. And with that being said, I will start with the miniature itself. It's going to be fun. Here we have our company veteran with heavy bolter, already primed in Chaos Black and with technical paint almost dried, so I can start painting the miniature. And as usual, there's some intelligent people out there that will do sub-assemblies, and then they will do first the weapon and then the body of the Space Marine and put everything together in the end. And then there's people like me that assemble the whole miniature, and I will have to suffer to paint the inside of the Space Marine. But it's going to be fun, and in the end it will look nice, hopefully. And of course the first step is always to give like a very thin layer of Abaddon Black, because this is going to be like our base color. And of course I can go back to this one, but I cannot spray the miniature with Chaos Black anymore, so I would like to give this Abaddon Black because I like it how it looks. And of course I will try to paint the inside parts, and we have this rope. I will start with that because it's going to be like the most challenging part, I think. And to have like a nice transition from black to white, I will use first of all Downstone. It's like a lighter gray, so it will create a nice transition. And then I will use Wraithbone. I have to shake this one. And after that I will try to make some nice shadows and everything. And I don't know if give it some highlights with white now or wait until later, but for sure first of all gray and then Wraithbone, because it's like a color that I really like for this kind of step. So let's try to do it, and let's see how it looks. I have to admit that it was not as horrible as I expected. It was challenging, of course, and I can see that I still have like to correct some white paint here in the knee. But of course, as it was complicated to use the brush, because of course we have like this big gun in the middle, I was not able to create like a nice transition from the black to the gray to the white. So we don't have like the nicer shadows here, and I will try to cheat a little bit. So I will use null noil to enhance all the shadows of the cloth here. And after that, it should look a little bit nicer. Of course, I'm not going to use it in the pretty seals and these things hanging here, because for that I will use like a different shade later. But for the cloth here in the Space Marine, I will try to use it. And let's see, hopefully it will look nice, and it should correct the weird shadows that I have like here in the inside, for example. And let's see, let's hope that it will look nice. As you can see, by just applying a little bit of null noil, now I have like a nicer transition there. I apply null noil in the gaps, and then I use a little bit more of Wraith Bond, that is what I was using to make this a little bit nicer transition. I like when it's like very noticeable like this one, so it was on purpose. And here in the inside it also looks nice, and in the back it looks a little bit darker, so I'm happy with that. I didn't use any Corax white for now for the bigger highlights, so I like how it's looking for now. And my next step is going to apply the other two base colors for my miniature, basically. First of all, I'm going to use corn red. I will use this one for every detail of the miniature that it's going to be red in the end. Like, for example, of course, the weapon, like all my Black Templars weapons, some of the cables, the eyes, and the shoulder pads, because of course this is a veteran and I'm going to give him the treatment of a sword brother, so he's going to have red shoulder pads, which is going to be a huge honor for this miniature. And then I will use lead belcher to use as the base color of all the metallic elements of the miniature. That there are quite a few here, so like, for example, the inside parts of the power armor that we can see here, this kind of details here, like all these skulls that we have around. And maybe I will try to add something a little bit here to the helmet. And I think that this symbol in the back, I also want to make it with this metallic color. And of course, there's like a lot of metallic things that will be around. So let's continue. After applying the base colors, this veteran is looking like a proper Black Templar veteran, which is quite nice. I'm happy with how it's looking for now. And before I continue with some highlights, I would like to paint some details. And I also want to mention that at first I was going to paint this shield with a black color, because of consistency with my impulsor, that I also painted this shield with a black color. I will leave the link of the video in the description, of course. But I decided that for this specific miniature, like having the weapon with the same color, it looked nicer, because of course it was weird for me to have like this shield black and the rest of the weapon red. It felt a little bit weird. I think this looks a little bit more natural. And as I said, now we have to paint some more details of the miniature. And for that I will use, first of all, Morphan Brown. I will use this one for the straps that we can see here, for example, with the ammunition, and a little bit of the belt inside. Those ones are going to be a little bit challenging, but it should look nice. Then I will use Balthasar Gold. I will use this one for the gold details. Like, for example, this symbol that we have here in the inside, it's not very visible right now because it's whole black. When I paint it, it will be more noticeable for sure. And I'm not sure if also painting like this small skull with a golden color. I will think about that. And then, of course, I will use Rundlord Brass. I will use this one for the bullets that we can see here. And I think that there are some in the base as well. So if they are in the base, I will paint it with this color. And for the symbol that we have here, I'm going to give some treatment like I did with the Terminators. First of all, I will use Tombstone, and then I will use a little bit of Wraithbone. And because I think that I'm not going to want to have like the whole symbol in red, I think it's going to be nice to have some contrast. And at this stage, I will also use Wraithbone to dry brush the base of the miniature. Like this, it should look a little bit nicer. And with that being said, let's continue painting this Black Templar. After painting more details, this Black Templar veteran is looking nicer. I'm happy with how it looks, and now we have all the base colors and some details. But of course we need to start with the highlights, because right now we have a very boring black power armor and we need to do something about that. So for that I will use the usual two colors that I use for my Black Templars. First of all, I will use Dark Reaper, and I will use this one for every single edge of the black power armor of this Black Templar. And then I will use thinner edge highlighting of Fenris and Grey in the areas that I want to consider the most exposed of the power armor. And after that it should look much nicer and it should look less boring, because right now it needs something, you know, it needs something. So let's continue. As I mentioned earlier, with a little bit of edge highlighting in the power armor, now this miniature looks much more interesting than it used to look. I didn't stop to explain too much how I do the edge highlightings because I already made a video about that. Of course, I will leave the link in the description. And now it's going to be the time for the edge highlighting of the red parts of the miniature, specifically mostly the weapon and the shoulder pads with some cable in the back. And for that, I will use Evil Sun's Scarlet. And with that being said, let's continue. Again, now after applying some more highlights, the miniature looks even more interesting. It looks like one step closer to be finished, which is quite nice. And now, before finishing with the last details, I would like to use two different shades. I'm going to use, first of all, Null Oil, and I will use this one for all the parts that I painted with lead belcher. Like basically all these metallic parts that you can see here in the arm, in the back. And I'm also going to use it for this skull. I will try to make the shades a little bit nicer because it looks a little bit sad. I maybe applied a little bit too much of paint, so let's hope that it will look nicer. And then I'm going to use Agrax Air Shade, and I will use this one for the purity seals, for this thing here, not the rope, like this part here. And I will use this for this purity seal as well, and the ammunition, and also the gold parts. And after that we can continue with the last details, so let's proceed. this veteran is almost finished right now. I just need to finish the last details and highlights, and for that I'm going to use these colors that I have here. First of all, we have this small cable here in the helmet from this visor that he has, and for that, of course, I will use the usual combination of reds. First of all, I will use some corn red, and because I want that one to pop out, I will use as well Evil Sunz Scarlet. And then for the white colors in the miniature, I'm going to use some highlighting of Corax white. It's like a very bright white, and it should look a little bit nicer after that, hopefully. And finally, for all the metallic areas that I used Led Belcher previously, I'm going to use Stormhost Silver. With this one, it should look very bright, and I will just use this one for the areas that are going to be like the most exposed of the miniature. And after that, it should be almost finished. So let's continue. And this is it. This is my finished veteran, the first one for the company heroes, and I'm super happy with how this miniature looks. I really like this one right now. When I did the unboxing of the box, of course I will leave the link in the description, I mentioned that for me this was the most boring one in terms of the other ones. They look very unique, and this was just another Space Marine with heavy bolter. But I have to say that now that I can see this model painted and assembled, it looks quite nice and very cool, and I'm super happy with how it looks. So I regret saying that this miniature looked kind of boring, because no, it looks super cool and I'm super happy with how it looks right now. I did my best painting this Space Marine, and as usual I hope that you will like it. And of course, if you are still here, thank you very much for watching the video. Please consider giving me a like and subscribing. Thank you very much, and see you next time.